Welcome to the Big Motor Small Blade podcast. I'm Buddy Poling.
And I'm Seth Dolby.
Am I really loud? You got scared there for a minute.
I don't get scared that easily.
Oh, okay.
Believe it or not.
Okay, gotcha. We rovaled.
We did.
We rovaled. And we're gonna roval again next year, which is a good
God.
thing. Yes. But yeah. I don't know. I was there all weekend. You were not.
No, I wasn't.
Because you're lame. And yeah, I mean, we saw another. I mean, to get right into it, do you think this race was better than last year's?
Yes.
I thought it was significantly better.
Yeah, I definitely thought it was significantly better than last year.
Yeah, it was in, I think it was just the way things fell that made it better.
Yeah.
But
I mean, part of it was for whatever reason you could actually. It was still tough, but you could actually get to guys this year, which created some of that. The way it fell was because you could actually get up and race people.
Yeah,
it was still tough, and it's not where we need it to be necessarily, but it was a lot better than it was before.
Yeah, and I mean, the Roval just in general is just a great racetrack.
Yeah,
like hands down. Like however good the oval is, like why? What is the disdain for the Roval all of a sudden? Like, let's get rid of we only have so few good racetracks right now with this car.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's not fantastic with this car right now, but we could ever get the package right. It's just another variety, another good racetrack on the schedule.
And I mean, we've already seen a leap from one year to the other in quality.
Exactly.
With the same, I mean, we had a slightly different package this year, but I mean, it's been a hit or miss package. So I don't know what, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. So we've already seen a significant jump. We've seen jumps at a lot of places. I feel like they're just going to keep coming because we're going to change some things. That'll shake things up, but ultimately the engineering is catching up, and I think it'll just keep getting better. I don't see any reason for us to get rid of this. And I'm really glad we're doing it again. I'm worried that it's only still here because we didn't get Montreal.
No, that's not. No.
I mean, look,
Marcus Smith came out and said he's like, I like the Roval. I think fans like the Roval. He's like, I don't, there's a lot of loud voices on the internet, but the loudest voice in the room is seldom the most intelligent. Yeah. So,
I mean, I feel like there were a lot of people here this year.
Yeah, there were. There always is. The people that are there are enthusiastic about it. And I think Marcus knows that. I think Bristol Dirt was different. I think Marcus I'm sure this is quite the investment for him. I don't know how much of an investment it is compared to like Bristol Dirt, because I mean it was like a $2 million project to put dirt on Bristol each year. But I mean, I wouldn't imagine it's that much of an investment for him, and it's something different. And Marcus seems pretty committed to it, and that's good because before last year, the Roval was probably one of the top 3 races on the schedule.
Yeah.
Like Jeff Gluck's pole, the first, how many Rovals have we run? 5, 6?
We run 5 now.
We run 5?
6. No, we've run 6.
Okay, we've run 6. The first 4 were all 93% or better.
Yeah.
On Gluck's pole. Like, it is a Joseph Newgarden had said it when he ran the IndyCar there. He's like, it's a world-class road course.
Yeah.
He's like, I was genuinely shocked, and it is.
And I also, in a general sense, don't like the sentiment we've got recently, which was, oh, NASCAR waited too long to start getting rid of tracks that sucked before, so now we need to just immediately dump things that aren't perfect right now. And I think that sentiment is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's something I was annoyed with a while back, or in a few episodes back, where it's just we don't give things long enough to become a tradition around here, because part of the reason fans want what they can't have. no matter what it is or when it is. Like that's just how it's going to be. So,
Well, and also just listening to online complaining about something is kind of missing a point in
a
itself too.
wild concept.
Well, it's kind of missing a point too, because if like people complained about the Brickyard 400, yes, and then as soon as we left it, the people who probably liked it weren't really that inclined to go on the internet and say something about it. Now, some people are, but most people aren't. Like, yeah, most people only get really excited. They get interested in bitching about things. They don't get interested
Yeah.
in praising things. So the people who liked it probably stayed back, and the people who hated it were right up front and center, telling you how much they hated it.
If you're content with something, like you're not gonna sit there and constantly talk about it.
I mean, unless you're a
Like,
Swiftie.
I guess.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, if you're content with something, there's no reason to talk about it because it's there. You got it. It's cool. We're all cool. But when you don't have it, you're gonna bitch and bitch and bitch. And like I said, it's not always the smartest people that are out there doing it. So yeah, just like the people that wanted stage cautions.
Yeah,
Mind you, the caution that made this race the most interesting was an unplanned caution. So I don't know what that says. The sole reason this race wasn't any better was, I feel like, stage cautions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wild concept, I know. Like,
yeah.
Maybe we should try it sometime.
I don't know, man. I still don't understand how it was so positive after Chicago, and then Indy happened, and it was still pretty positive.
I thought
if I remember correctly. I remember I had fun with that race. A lot of people did it. It did well in the Gluck poll. People think that it only did well because Michael McDowell won. I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah. I don't like Michael McDowell. I thought that race was great.
Yeah, exactly. And then Watkins Glen was a snoozer. Well, to be fair, Watkins Glen, there are other problems with Watkins Glen.
There are obvious reasons as to why Watkins Glen is the way it is.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the segue into the schedule talk. Watkins Glen is a great track for fans. People show up there, they camp. And I've heard a lot of like DBC and the Teardown. They talked about it. They were like, yeah, that's a lot of because it's a lot of fans that bring their kids to the racetrack and camp that you're probably not going to get now that it's going to be in the playoffs in September during school. So now you're going to have not as big of a crowd probably, at least in the overall weekend. And it's already not a great race right now. Like, and if there's any road course that's not going to be fixed by any drastic changes, it's probably going to be Watkins Glen, just because of how it's the super speedway of road courses.
Well, the biggest drastic change you could make would not be with the cars; it would be with the track. Adding whatever those little blue and red rumble strips we have at Paul Ricard, on the runoff areas, that would be like the best thing we could do to the racetrack, I think, right now, because they're not going to put grass there. But I think that would be the best move. Make it a detriment to go out there. You'd see more. I hate saying you'd see more passing because the dumbasses always use that as like the metric of every good racing.
It would create more opportunity for drivers to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And it would reward drivers for being better. Yeah. It would reward drivers for making a tighter and more efficient corner. Yep. And it would create passing, but it would create passing not just for the sake of passing.
Yeah.
It would create passing because
it would create quality passes.
Yes, exactly. Because a guy got through a corner better than the other guy,
Yeah.
Because they race better. Wild. That is only the first schedule changed. Watkins Glen's going into the playoffs. Get an overall schedule.
I think both Atlanta dates suck.
Hold on. Overall, How do you feel about the schedule?
It's disappointing.
It is disappointing. It's very disappointing.
Yes.
It,
So, all right, I guess I'll just jump into specifics.
let's
Okay.
start. Yeah, Atlanta. Atlanta in the spring.
In the spring, terrible idea. Well,
Horrible.
Did we forget the race we saw last spring? It was nowhere near the race we saw in the fall or the summer. It wasn't even close. It wasn't even close because you just got too much. I mean, it'll probably be a little worse this time around. But as far as the actual race goes, it's not going to be good for the racetrack. It's not. No. You had a great opportunity to put it as the all-star race and move Wilkesboro to that date if you want. It still sucked to sit through it, but it's not going to ruin the race. And then on top of that, it being a second super speedway race in a row, I don't care what Dale Jr. says about it not being a super speedway, whatever. The point stands. I think that's terrible too, because the idea, nothing against Ben Kennedy necessarily. I feel like his hands are a little tied this year putting the schedule together. But
yeah.
I don't know, the idea of you're gonna hook a fan in who only watches usually super speedways, so they're gonna watch Daytona and then tune in next week to see the same thing. Well, what happens a week after that? Then we're gonna we're going to Las Vegas, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're still gonna eventually get to that point where if someone doesn't want to watch actual racing, I don't even hate to say that anymore. If somebody doesn't want to actually watch actual racing, then they're going to stop eventually. You only have 6 of these. I say only. That's totally oversaturated. Not like our road courses at 6. That's not oversaturated.
Yeah.
6 super speedways is definitely so fucking oversaturated.
That's the thing. And it's like, what was the reasoning for this move? That was the reasoning for it. But like, was that the only reasoning? Because that's not a good enough reason for me. No. Because we've had Atlanta be the second date on the schedule before. It was because, we're going to get the people that are coming back from Daytona. And that actually, I know people who actually went to the Daytona 500 and were like, yeah, we're going to stop in Atlanta and go to that race. And then they were like, yeah, we're not doing that again because we're in sunny Florida where it's probably 65, 75 degrees. And then we go to Atlanta where it's like 50 degrees and it's probably going to rain, and it's like the most miserable weekend ever. And that's the reason Atlanta moved from that date. And now we're back. Global warming is a thing, so you can make that argument. But then also, both of us were in Atlanta in the spring this year, a month later than it will be next year. And that was maybe the coldest I've ever been at a racetrack in my entire life.
Well, I almost got hypothermia at Martinsville one time, so I can't say that.
When we got there,
yeah, the actual race wasn't terrible, but everything around that, it was terribly cold.
Could you imagine if we would have gotten a gloomy day?
Yeah, that would sucked ass.
Yeah, it would have sucked. Yeah, it's just a head ass move. Like, I don't.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's going to be people who were there this year in the spring that say absolutely not to a month earlier. I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, I wasn't going to go anyway, but
I considered it and I'm definitely not.
Yeah. Well, also we're going to go to Daytona, so that's part of it.
That's also, we're not going to hit it on the way back.
No, I think we're going home.
Okay. Hold on. Let me pull up the schedule so we're not jumping out of order here too much. I apologize for my sniffling.
So while Buddy does that, I know the next
are fucking killing me.
Yeah, so I know while Buddy does that, the next big one is obviously Bristol Concrete in the middle of March, correct? March 17th, if I recall.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'll go, but it's gonna suck.
We will protest that race by going and buying tickets and sitting there and watching it happen.
It's freezing fucking cold. I honestly
Taylor
might
Kitchens told me that is the best way to protest.
I'm gonna make a sign that says I want dirt back.
Yeah. I mean, dude, we saw a better race on dirt the past 2 years than we had on concrete. There's a reason we moved from concrete to dirt because no one showed up. And
And the
now we're
reasons
back.
people showed up,
And
the reasons no one showed up are back in full force.
yeah, I'm willing to bet that probably not going to see that much of an uptick in attendance. And we're definitely going to see a big drop in attendance when it's run on Monday. So
Yeah, like I said, I'm planning on going. I'll have to look at my schedule and see how everything's going to work out.
see if you have sick days on Monday.
I definitely have sick days. But I still might wait and see, because if it's going to be like 30 degrees and raining, I might just skip. Like,
Yeah.
the race is not going to be very good anyway. Like, I mean, I've sat through a lot of shit to go to races before, but quite frankly, a race I didn't even really want.
Yeah. So moving on, obviously Wilkesboro is retaining the All-Star race. We talked about that last week.
Yeah.
Montreal is not happening. I don't know what the reasonings are for that. That was like I said, nothing really came out as why, but Iowa, we're getting Iowa in place of this. And it is a placeholder, and that's really all it is until we can go international. I think Iowa with this car will be one of the better road courses.
Will it now? It'll be one of the
It'll
better
be
road
one of the better
courses?
short tracks. I mean,
I guess we can try an infield
yeah,
road course in Iowa.
we'll try the Iowa Roval. No, I think it'll be one of the better short tracks though, because I think it'll be much like Richmond, but I think it'll almost be better than Richmond. And for me at least, I enjoyed Richmond last year, not so much this year, but um, I think it'll be good because more there's more grooves there. It's obviously worn out more. We'll see more tire fall off, which even at Richmond we see a lot. So it'll be. I think it'll be a fun race, and who knows what kind of improvements we're going to make the super speedway package. And they are making a night race, so that's good for the people that'll be in Iowa.
What does that have to do with the super speedway package?
What are you talking about?
What does that have to do with the super speedway package?
What are you talking about?
You said, I hope they make a better super speedway package in the middle of your
Iowa track
spiel.
package. You knew what I fucking meant. Like, stop being a fucking dickhead. Like,
well, the people need to know, man. They're probably like, Buddy thinks Iowa's a road course with a super speedway package.
Hey, we've never been there before. I don't know what it is. And yes, we went there for trucks and Xfinity, but we've told you guys before, this is a Cup podcast. It's Cup shit. But anyway, I mentioned that it's going to be a night race. What's not going to be a night race anymore is Nashville. It is back to Sunday at 2:30.
Ooh.
Yeah. If that's not a middle finger to the fans, I don't know what is.
I guess that's better than 5, but still sucks.
Is it?
Yeah. 5 is like the hottest part of the day.
Yeah, but at least like most of the race like will be run at night.
Not if it starts at 5. Sun doesn't set till like 8:30 or 9.
Man, I don't know. Either way, it's worse than 2:30, or it's not as good as 2:30 is worse. Like you get all of the sun. Yeah, I don't understand why that's getting moved. I thought it put on a great show and lots of people showed up, and I guess we don't want that. Chicago is back. We knew that, but it's back. I talked to Julie Geezy this weekend actually, and she's really excited. And she's like, "There's a lot we need to do better," but I mean, both of us went. It was great the first year. I can only imagine it's going to be that much better. And hopefully it's not a monsoon.
I wish I'd have been able to talk to her. I'm really curious what she thought they needed to do better, because I don't think anything that happened was in their control.
Yeah.
I think she's just saying that. Like, I'm sure she feels that way, but I'm sure.
Definitely, I can't remember what specific she said. I'm kind of drawn. But just like, logistics of everything. And in the event, I think it was more in the event of like rain like that, how to better handle situations.
Okay.
I think it was more that, not necessarily like actual like on track product or anything, but more like handling like city and collaborated efforts between the city and NASCAR.
Okay.
Um,
Sure.
Indy, we obviously know it's going back to the oval. Um, and then here we go. Because we because of the Olympics and we want to keep Darlington on Labor Day weekend, Daytona will no longer be the regular season finale, and Darlington Raceway and the Southern 500 will. And Daytona will be the week before. I hate this a lot.
I love this a
I hate
lot.
it so much. And I'm gonna poke a hole in your reasoning for it.
Okay.
One, Daytona was the perfect race, in my opinion, to end the regular season. The perfect race to end the regular season. Darlington is gonna be one, you're not gonna get that winner, that surprise winner that NASCAR wants, which fine. I don't really care about that. But now that doesn't mean they're not gonna talk about it. Now instead of the Southern 500, it's gonna be the playoffs and who's gonna make it. Can anyone make it in? That's all they're gonna talk about. So and I hate that Darlington's not in the playoffs just because it's the best racetrack on the circuit. I think we should have the best racetracks on the circuit in the playoffs. If you want to be a champion in the sport, chances are you got to be good at a track like Darlington. And now it's not in the playoffs. That's
All
just
right.
my opinion. I know you have a different one.
Okay. So I don't think this changes much with the way Daytona races because everyone who needs to win is going to go, I need to win now because
I mean, yes.
I'm probably not going to do it at Darlington. So I don't think this changes anything as far as how that race actually goes. And B, I don't feel like them talking about on TV or at the track about it being the playoff cutoff is any different than a guy going through 3 and 4 about to win the Southern 500 and Rick Allen saying, and he locks himself into the round of 12. Like that fucking matters. I don't think
Uh,
that's any different.
uh,
I feel like it gives them an opportunity to make it about the Southern 500 for the win.
no, they're not. They won't. That's why it's like it's if really as long as it's in that spot.
I mean, will they
It,
though? Because the likelihood of a guy winning the Southern 500
well, it'll
who
be
already
it'll be
won.
about getting momentum into the playoffs. I'm just saying that your argument has always been it devalues the Southern 500 in your opinion because all they talk about is the playoffs, and I don't see how this is gonna do that. I would just rather have Darlington in the playoffs because I mean, just like I said, I want the best tracks, the hardest tracks in the playoffs.
So
Um,
ultimately for me, it doesn't really matter because I'm at the track.
yeah.
I'm not
Um,
thinking about the playoffs during the Southern 500.
I think here's what disappoints me the most though is Daytona not being regular season finale. Yes, it doesn't matter. It is still like the race before. But the build up to it, it was Watkins Glen, it was Indy, then Watkins Glen, then Daytona. And for me, I like that stretch of races because it put pressure, because it is three tracks where that could produce a different winner. And it put pressure on those guys on the bubble to execute. And, you know, that is, I mean, yes, you still have to execute, but they're not as much of a wild card as those other three were. And I mean, so I don't feel like that if that is the main appeal of like the last four races of the season for most people is the who's gonna make it and can someone sneak in with a win or can the bubble guys hang on and we don't have that tension has been cut a little bit, if you will, with this. And all because we just couldn't do a Richmond doubleheader for whatever reason. Oh, yeah, hold on. Let's go back to that because that pisses me off. Because we don't do a Richmond doubleheader, we get a night race at Richmond on March 31st. Fuck you, everyone who decided that was a good idea, because it is already chilly in the spring there. And now we're going to run a night race there. I mean, I wanted Richmond night back, but not like this.
I mean, it's been chilly for the Bristol dirt race. How's this much different?
I feel like
I say that just because it's the same weekend. Or it's Easter weekend. So it's the same weekend in my mind, even though it's not really. But
I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't know. We haven't been to it's been colder during the day in both spring Richmond races for me than it has been Bristol dirt.
fair.
So,
But I don't know. I don't remember it being terribly cold this year. Like, it was nippy, but it wasn't like,
yeah, but 5 hours later, it's probably going to be pretty chilly.
probably.
It's just another unnecessary an option. The main thesis to this whole argument with the schedule is we had so many great options pitched that didn't get put into motion. And yeah, we had obviously Richmond doubleheader was on the table, but instead we have a way worse option.
Okay, so hang on real quick before we get too far off the beaten path. This isn't something you said, but Denny Hamlin, I was listening to Actions Detrimental this morning, and Denny said, quote, "We ain't getting no out of nowhere winner at Darlington to in the regular season." Hello, Dennis. Eric Jones won 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Or last season.
I thought that too.
So
I thought that
shut
too.
up. Like,
yeah.
Dumbass. And he also said, who cares if it's on Labor Day weekend? Well, you know what? Fuck you, Dennis. I care. Okay.
Well, Denny's also the same guy that said the Coca-Cola 600 doesn't like it doesn't matter what the length is. It could be 300 miles. It hold the same prestige. Like, so I don't like I said, Denny lives Denny's truth. Sometimes we agree with it, sometimes we don't.
Anyway.
No. Getting into the actual playoffs, the first round of the playoffs, if Martin Truex had a hard time getting through the first round this year, he's gonna have a horrible time trying to get through the round next year, or just the regular season champ in general, not necessarily Martin Truex, because it's Atlanta, Watkins Glen, and Bristol.
Well, it puts more emphasis on the regular season.
I hate Atlanta being in the playoffs.
Yes.
I actually don't hate Atlanta being in the playoffs if we took Talladega out.
Or if we just took, plates off the cars.
I mean, that was kind of what I was getting at, is eventually we will take the plates off Atlanta.
Eventually, yes.
And that's the thing. Even if down the road, I feel like if Atlanta does stay in the playoffs, we will take the plates off, and this argument won't matter. But still, for the time being, the plates are on, and the tapered spacers on, and we have two super speedways in the playoffs. And then Watkins Glen is in the playoffs again. I don't really hate this. I just don't think it's going to be a good race.
I don't think it's going to be a good race. I don't think it's the wild card that everyone seems to think it is.
No, it's definitely not. It is the least wild card of all the road courses.
Yeah, so I don't hate this move as far as the actual racing goes. I don't think it was necessary, but I don't hate it.
I like the reasoning behind it, and a lot of the reasoning behind it hasn't been so much just we wanted to add another wild card or another road courses. A lot of what I've heard is we like the fan turnout. We like how Watkins Glen, puts on a show. So we felt like they deserved a playoff race, which I can appreciate. I don't appreciate that when it comes to Phoenix, and that's why we give them a championship race. But I could appreciate a track that puts the time in to make a good fan experience gets a playoff date. But
I mean,
you
that is
also gotta,
ignoring why they have the turnout that they do, though.
huh?
That's ignoring why they have the turnout they do. It's the
I
time frame.
That's what I was about to say. Is I can appreciate it, but I don't. It's not going to transfer.
Yeah.
I don't think. And there's a balance there as well as a balance between having good racing, too. But yeah, Atlanta being in the playoffs is I put out a TikTok at the buddy pulling that basically we have one less road course than we had this year, and now which is a way more skilled discipline than super speedway racing that we've now put at a more pivotal and prominent point in the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So that sucks.
I agree.
Yeah. Now we have two road courses in the playoffs. Like I said, I don't see the harm in that. Um, Obviously the Charlotte Roval stay the cutoff races are the same. Um, and really everything else about the playoffs is pretty much the same. No
The
Texas, obviously.
the only thing I don't hate about the way the first round is now is that it will put an even bigger emphasis on what you do in the regular season.
Yes.
Which I like. I
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind that. No more of this Jimmy Johnson, Chad Canal, Sarah fucking off all summer.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably can, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Well, I think the playoffs that Martin Truex has had this year is it maybe exposed that a lot. Maybe like, oh shit, this really does mean like a lot. Like, because I feel like people have used it as a gateway to Phoenix and not really paid attention to the impact it can have in all the other rounds.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep.
But that's really it for the schedule. Overall, just kind of just a little bit of a letdown. Um,
A
yeah,
lot of bit of a letdown, I would say.
yeah, and I like you said, Ben Kennedy. Like, I mean, he's damned. He's got a thankless job. Like he's
Yep.
damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. So
And in his defense, I don't know. It's entirely possible they didn't get approval to do a midweek race at Richmond. I mean, it is right in
it
I mean,
is,
it's
yes,
right in the middle of a bunch of stuff. It's not like Darlington or whatever.
yeah.
So,
Um, I did hear a rumor. I'll tell you the source after. It's not a terribly reliable source, but it is someone that has given me a mixed bag of information that has turned out to be true and untrue.
yeah.
That um, Darlington is maybe being considered for the next championship race.
Oh God.
Well, I think it'd be great, but
Why? The championship
um,
race sucks
I mean,
because they're told not to race the championship four.
well, we'll see. I think I think if any race is going to produce a non-winner champion, it's Darlington. So
I mean, we literally watched Kyle Larson lay over at Homestead. It could have happened already, but he
uh,
laid over.
well, that was Kyle Larson's choice.
That's what we're led to believe.
Yeah, yeah. Either way,
I don't know.
okay, fine. Make it. I don't know. Make it Talladega then.
I mean, like, here's the thing: is we had the opportunity this year to do the best thing we could have with the way the playoffs or the way the season had to fit together, which was get rid of the last race championship. We had that opportunity to try it this year, and you could have literally led with, "We're going to try it just because of the way the schedule lays out." And I bet it would have been better, and I bet it would have worked better TV rating wise. And we blew it. I don't know why we're sold on this idea. TV ratings drop every year, so that can't be the reason. It's just dead. The rest of the playoffs is actually solid right now. Like we've seen it with Truex. You can do good in the regular season, and you're not fucked over from a few bad weeks. So we've got a solid thing going here. We just drop it all the way off at the end of the season.
Yeah.
We don't need to be ending with a whimper every year.
Yeah. Like I said, I'd be curious to see. Obviously, Homestead was obviously a great racetrack to end it on, but and I don't feel like that race was as bad as Phoenix has been. Phoenix has been the extreme of just terrible races. So we'll see. We'll see what happens when they do inevitably move the track. So I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I really hope it's not Darlington.
Yeah.
I really hope.
Well, I'd like to give Darlington, I'd like to have, I'd be cool with it for a year.
I would just be, here's my thing. I would honestly kind of be surprised because we literally moved the playoff cutoff to keep Darlington at Labor Day.
Yeah.
And now we're going to move it to the first week of November. I don't know if I buy that.
I mean, that's why I said
Okay.
take it with a grain of salt. But
I'm taking it with a grain of salt.
yeah. I've heard more of Martinsville. That's more of what I've heard.
That would also be terrible, but we can get into that if they ever do that, we'll get into why that's terrible. But
yeah. Get into more of the actual race of the Roval. Yeah, like we said, thought it was a little bit better. There was quite a few just jarhead moves being done out there. Corey LaJoie's a great candidate for dumbass of the week.
He would be.
I don't know like what the hell he was doing.
Yeah, neither do I.
Like
I don't know. It's pretty par for the course.
I mean, it is absolutely par for the course, but
I don't know. Corey's going to be in for a rude awakening next year when his teammates start blowing his doors off.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. And here's one thing, because Suarez also had some bonehead moves.
Oh, we'll get
I didn't
there.
see as many
We'll get there.
Yeah, well, I mean, fuck it. I don't know, other than the backstretch, I didn't really see anything. But then again, I wasn't really paying attention.
Daniel was running into everybody and blocking like a crazy ass all day.
Yeah.
Daniel drove like a jackass yesterday.
Well,
in my opinion, he drove like a jackass and had that one coming.
I mean,
in my opinion,
I didn't. Well, I'm just saying, I don't know. I didn't see. So I saw him fucking have way too much rear brake in the car and wreck the hell out of Austin Cindric and Bubba Wallace.
Yeah.
I don't know what exactly he did to Christopher Bell to warrant just getting junked there, but maybe there was a reasoning.
I mean, ultimately, like, based off what he did to Bell or didn't do to Bell, maybe he didn't deserve it. But based off a whole body of work for the day, he deserved to get dumped, in my opinion. That's my opinion.
But I think, and that's something I was going to get in with Corey and Daniel too. I think it has a lot to do with the midfield too. It is a hard way to make a living, and it produces this just way of racing that's just annoying to watch. Like, I mean, just because it's like you're better than that.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of the justification given for why Ross Chastain was driving the way he was. It's like, oh, he comes from the midfield. That's how they drive back there. And I'm like, okay, once you get to the front, you got to stop driving like that. Well,
exactly. And that's what like Corey, one thing, he's not at the front. Daniel at least has enough or has had enough time at the front to not be driving like a jackwad. So,
and Daniel's been driving like a guy who knows he's on the hot seat.
That and like the speed in the car has been so infrequent this year That's like whenever he has the opportunity, I don't think he knows how to. I think he just gets in over his head, and it's like, dude, like,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, Indianapolis, he did great, and then he called himself out for it before Indy, and then we were kind of reverted right back to it. So I don't know,
Yeah, I don't know either.
but trying to think who else. Chase Elliott kind of got screwed.
Definitely got
Um,
screwed.
yeah, well, I don't
I
feel
mean, it
bad for him.
happens. It
Yeah,
happens, but
I don't feel bad for him. He didn't get screwed nearly as bad as, for example, Kevin Harvick at the Southern 500. So I mean, it is what it is. I mean,
okay.
untimely caution. You can thank your quasi teammate for that.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I wanted to that brings up it doesn't really bring it up, but I remember Freddie Kraft on DBC today was talking about what a dumbass Andy Lally was. And I'd like to dispute that. Now, to be fair to Freddie, he was having to watch his.
I love to hear this argument.
Okay.
I think
Well, I
Andy
watched the
Lally.
whole thing happen. I watched the whole thing happen. So here's what
Okay.
happened. Andy Lally got wrecked. Okay. Drives backwards to get to the gate or the little intern whatever. There's a gap in the fucking fence there.
Mm-hmm.
Goes to where the officials are, and he's trying to get into the garage. He's like stopped right there trying to get into the garage, and they waved him off and said no.
Oh, okay.
They wouldn't open the gate for him. Like, dude, the garage is right there. Open the fucking gate. We don't need to cause a caution. But they said no, waved him on, and he went on, and the car was fucked. So I don't blame Andy Lally for that. I blame whatever official that was down there. Should have just opened the gate. You did 5 minutes later for a truck, so you can do it.
Yeah, that's fair then. That's fair.
Yeah.
Um,
Now, to be fair to
was
Freddie,
that the
he was
caution that
obviously
screwed?
working, but
Was that the caution that screwed Elliott? It was the, or was it the? I
I
thought
don't
it was the
think.
LaJoy caution, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the
Okay,
LaJoy
yeah,
caution.
that's
Yeah,
what I thought. Yeah, that was okay. Well, that's interesting
yeah.
to know. Doesn't really excuse the fact that Andy Lally is kind of terrible. Um,
I'm not going to argue that point.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, that explains that at least.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, AJ Allmendinger kind of fell on the right end of that caution, and obviously goes on to win the race. Survived several late race cautions.
Did a great job on every restart.
He did, and like the restart zone was a questionable move, but I think it proved to be a whole lot better than what we at least had before.
Yeah, and I'm glad I'm glad they didn't do the idea that I had, because when they initially announced this, I was like, why are we not just sending them in the middle of three or oval 3 and 4 or 13, 14, whatever the fuck we call these. And
NASCAR 3 and 4.
NASCAR 3 and 4. God bless America. Anyway, that was my idea initially, and then I thought about it, and I was like, "Oh God, that would have everybody diving 3 wide or whatever into the chicane. That would have been a terrible idea."
Pretty sure I said that.
You might have, but it worked really well. And even with that, I wasn't sure it was. I thought we were going to get some stack up, some stupid stuff. It never happened. We had clean restarts all day, and I was satisfied. I'm really glad we made this change.
Shocked we didn't have more people spin out there. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, it looked like everybody's going. It was spinning tires about wreck the damn thing. It looked like Martinsville when you just had all the horsepower in the world and none of the tire.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like. Yeah. AJ was real lucky he had Kyle Busch right there. And at least Ty Gibbs has some respect for AJ Allmendinger. So yeah, it was a clinic he put on there at the end. It would have been interesting to see who would have won between him and Chase, but it seemed like AJ's car was just stout there at the end of it.
Yeah, it would have been pretty close between him and Chase. It would have been a fun battle for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, he ends up winning. Obviously, next gen car. He hasn't won in the next gen car yet. He's won 3 races in his career now, and yeah, we added all these road courses. We thought he was going to win 5 or 6 of them, and now only a second. But I mean, still, it the year that Colleagues had and how terrible those cars have been. Like it was kind of out of left field, but good to see because I mean he was super emotional at the end and running up in the crowd and man was having a good time.
I mean, yeah, like you said, it's kind of out of left field, but also it's literally King AJ Roval Master. In my opinion, I mean, 5 wins in what, 8 starts, 9 starts, whatever it is. Like that's ridiculous. Like, and he should have probably, in my opinion, won this race 2 years ago if his motor doesn't blow up. He was really close last year, so I don't really think it's that. I don't think it's surprising, really, if you think about it.
No, I mean it's not surprising that he would win on the Roval. It's more surprising that that car wasn't because I mean we've seen him even at road courses this year just be terrible. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
obviously there's a lot of question whether AJ is going to be back in Cup or Xfinity. I kind of wish he would just go back to Xfinity because like he could win a championship. He's not going to
Yeah.
do that in Cup. Like,
I mean, it sounds like he's going back because they don't have enough funding,
yeah,
which is unfortunate. And it seems like Colleague has kind of just overstepped a little bit in
yeah,
their growth, which is also unfortunate. I really like Colleague Racing. I think they're a really fun organization. So I really hope they get it all figured out.
yeah.
There's nothing really insightful to that. I just wanted to say
Yeah, I mean, no, you're right though. You're right. It's I don't know. AJ Allmendinger is like he's definitely he didn't he's in the Cup Series for so long before he got his first win, and it's been relatively sparse. But he's had such an interesting like journey throughout all this because I mean he for so long was in not terrible, not great equipment, but not terrible. I don't feel like the level of equipment has fluctuated that much throughout his career. And but he as a driver has just gotten that much better in the past 5 years, 4 or 5 years.
yeah.
And I think it's really interesting. And he's just a likable dude. I
Yeah.
mean, at the end of the day. So I don't know. I still think it's weird that we've seen AJ Allmendinger in our lives win what 6 times now?
I think it's 7.
7?
Yeah,
Where
because it'd
else?
be 4 at the Xfinity Roval, 1 at the Cup Roval, and then Cup and Xfinity Indy Roval.
Oh yeah, we did see him win at Indy. Yeah. I
Yep.
saw him win the sprint showdown one time in Charlotte.
That's pushing it.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, no, I mean
Was that in a
Asia.
Red Bull or was that?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it was 08.
Shit.
Yeah. Um, yeah, AJ Allmendinger won the Roval.
Happy for him.
Yep.
Go AJ.
Yeah. Hell of a burnout. Hell of a
Hell of
burnout.
a. That's the thing is AJ's celebration are top notch.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
dude is so excited about winning anything, and like he
Yeah.
says, you never know, and obviously you never know, but like man, it's like he wins the Roval again, a race he should have won a couple times now, and it's just or could have won a couple times, and that's part of it too, I think. But I don't know, you can't help but smile and just have fun watching AJ just be so happy. Like,
Hard to win these damn cup races, man.
yeah, but AJ's
Especially as
AJ's
stacked as the field is.
enthusiasm is
Yeah.
infectious. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. How many winners we have this year now? We
Um,
had what, 2 get on point, 3 get on points. So
plus
plus
Shane,
Shane Van Gisbergen and
AJ.
AJ. So 15.
Yep. I mean
All right.
that's what we had in 21.
Yeah.
So
That's
we're back to normal.
yeah. No, I mean we're back to you say normal, but yeah, I think it's still like a it's still a bigger number than what was consistently being produced 5 years ago. And I think it's just
Yeah.
it's proof of the the talent of the Cup field right now.
Like I think
Um,
2015 off the top of my head, 2015 I think had 12.
yeah,
So just for a baseline,
yeah. Um, but yeah, other than that, playoffs obviously happened.
they did.
Um, 40 points were available this week. Don't let anyone else fool you. Um, and yeah, we saw, I don't even remember, Tyler Reddick had the best car, had to go for stage points,
I don't even
and
see.
had
I
no
think they
chance.
screwed I think they screwed that up because I mean we saw what Bell did. Pitt from third came out fifth in the
Yeah,
first stage. Like if they do that strategy, they probably come out. I would imagine they come out fourth. If Bubba also does that strategy and then they come out third, they win the race.
yeah,
I mean, obviously they could get caught out like the nine did, so I guess it's not guaranteed, obviously, but I mean you're probably gonna win the race. So I think they screwed up. Like they got a playoff point, they could have got five.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's yeah, definitely played the wrong strategy, but like, I mean,
I mean, I guess I
it
understand. I
this,
understand it from the initial onset because you don't think you're going to be that far ahead that you're going to be able to do that and still get top five stage points.
yeah,
But at that point, you look at the deltas and go, "Oh shit, we can pit here and
yeah,
be top five. Let's do
yeah,
that." I don't know. I don't. I
yeah,
don't get paid to do that job.
yeah. I just all could be solved if we just didn't have fucking stage cautions. Um,
Yeah.
and I just hate that because we saw Bubba Wallace drive the best road course race of his career, had a probably top five car, and didn't get a chance to show it. Tyler Reddick had a chance to win today, um, didn't get a chance to show it, and it's just it. I don't know how this makes the race better. I just don't. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Um, and as far as the playoff goes, really exactly who we thought was going to get eliminated and make it, it got eliminated and made it. We kind of knew Brad was going up against Tyler Reddick at a road course was going to be a uphill climb.
Yeah.
And it proved that he wasn't very good. Um, but
The
I don't
only
know,
shakeup option we had was Kyle Busch was close there
right
for a little
there.
bit.
Yeah.
Um, it would have required a lot for him to beat AJ Allmendinger at the Roval. But he put up a hell of a fight, to be completely honest.
Yeah, he did. He did.
And well, to be fair to Kyle, he's been better at the Roval than I ever realized. I think that was his third top five. So
Really? Dude,
yeah, I thought he
I
was
thought the
like
Roval was like
always.
his worst track ever.
That's what I thought too. He had two coming in, and he finished top five today or yesterday. So in fairness to Kyle Busch, he's better there than I thought he was.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean that team was just super inconsistent. Same with the one. 23 really just playoff points
Yeah.
was it. He was playoff points and a super Kyle away from making it to the round of eight. Um, and then Brad, I mean, kind of the same deal, just lack of playoff points. Um, so it is what it is. We got seven of the best drivers going into the next round, and we got Ryan Blaney too. So um yeah, I mean, I think we all shit on Tyler Reddick. I mean, a lot of us thought he was going to be out in the first round. I picked him to go to the round of eight. I did not pick him to go to the final four. Um, but I don't know. That team's been super quick. I'd interchange him out for Truex right now for the final four.
That's kind of where I'm at, but I keep kind of expecting the 19 to just improve enough.
I
Because
think
here's the
either
thing.
that or Reddick has an issue. Truex continues down the path, and that 17 car just top five, top tens his way into the final four.
Maybe. The thing is they're really not that far off from where the 9 team was a year ago in the playoffs. They're a
Yeah.
little bit off because the 9 obviously won Talladega and then ran great at the Roval, which that's two more good runs than the 19 has had. But it's not that far off, really,
Yeah.
consistently. So it's entirely possible they mid their way into the Final Four like the 9 did last year.
Yeah.
Of course, obviously, the 5 is in the playoffs now. So if he were to win Homestead, it would not have the same non-effect that it did last time.
Yeah.
On the driver's standings.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately that's why we run the races. But yeah, I mean, Martin, yeah, I mean, at some point they got to right the ship.
Yeah.
But I think that what alarms me the most is at least Chase had more speed and just did it. It was terrible execution. They have terrible execution and they don't have speed right now.
Yeah.
In the one race they did, they obviously cut a tire. I think 24, 5, 11, they obviously are the favorites to make it. And then the 12, Ryan Blaney's gonna, I would imagine, have to win if he wants to make it. I don't think he's gonna run good enough. Not only because that team is not very good at executing a lot of times, but also just the Fords are at a disadvantage. And even though I just said that, I think Chris Buescher, no matter the disadvantage for Fords, that team has been strong anywhere and everywhere. So I think ultimately the final spot is going to be between, assuming the 19 can't get it figured out, I think the 17 and the 45. I think the 20 is flashy, but they don't have a lot. They don't have a lot of a backbone, if you will.
I don't even think the 20 is as flashy as they're getting credit for right now.
Well, he's winning poles and he's up there at the beginning of the race.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
That don't pay.
No, exactly. It doesn't. And so, yeah, I think it'll. I think Chris Buescher, there's a real opportunity he could just sneak his way in.
I think if anyone other than the 19 does, other than winning one of these races, it's gonna be that they were just a little less mid than the 19. Because I think ultimately the only 3, I'm gonna say it like this, the only 3 championship worthy cars right now are the 24, 11, and 5.
The 17 has scored the second most points this year.
Okay, that's fine. I don't
Only
think
9 points behind Denny Hamlin.
In this format, they have not been as, like, they're solid, but like, I don't know. I don't get that feeling with them. They don't wow me right now.
Hey man, you don't have to wow. You just got to be there. I mean, and he has every opportunity. If he were to win his way into the next round, I mean, I feel like that's all I mean, he'd have 4 wins. That's as many as Denny or Kyle.
Well, to be fair, the 24 also doesn't wow me.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they are there though. There is something to be said about that. They are there.
And again, like you said, they have scored the second most points this year. So not acting like they're not championship favorites. I'm just sitting there thinking, like, who's been the fastest all season?
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, that doesn't necessarily win you championships anymore.
I think it's the same. I think he's won races, but he hadn't gotten a lot of media coverage because they're not going out there and winning polls and whatnot. They're just going out there and just grinding it out. And you look at the leaderboard and he's right there, and you're like, oh damn, there's Chris.
Yeah.
And I think that's really it. I think if people were to, if that were to get more coverage, I think we'd have a different opinion. But it hasn't gotten the coverage that the other 3 or 4 have had, and so we don't have that same opinion.
I think part of it is too, they haven't, I think they peaked toward the end of the regular season. They've been good in the playoffs, but they definitely peaked at the end of the regular season. I don't think that now granted, like we said, they could go out and win this week and none of it matters.
I could see Vegas being a good track. Homestead's been a good track for Buescher.
Yeah.
It's an underrated good track for him. I think Martinsville, I don't know necessarily where he's run there in the past, but
I'm not sure, but
Yeah, Bell, obviously Vegas is going to be a good one for him. Reddick and Larson, it's going to be a duel between them at Homestead. Hamlin's going to scoot through. Byron's going to he'll be running 10th with 2 laps to go at Homestead. There'll be a caution and he'll win the race. And then, Christopher Bell will, or not Bell, who's the other one? Blaney. Blaney will lead 785 laps at Martinsville and lose it on pit road. So,
yeah, that's the
yeah,
thing about Blaney. It's like
yeah.
it's like, dudes, you just have to be clutch one time at Martinsville.
Yeah. I have no clue what Martin Truex. I'll say I have no clue. I'm not even gonna pretend to know what Martin Truex is gonna do.
I mean,
I
they
have
could
an
definitely
idea
win
of what the other.
Martinsville.
I have an idea of what the other three could do, or other seven could do. I ain't got a clue what Martin Truex is gonna do.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't believe they're gonna just continue down this road. But I also there's no you haven't done anything to prove that you're not gonna continue.
I
So I
love
don't
how
know.
they made the playoffs and then all of a sudden 2022 19 team just showed up out of nowhere.
They're
Like
like,
everyone's probably just thinking, dudes, we left you guys in the past.
yeah,
Stay there,
yeah.
fuckers.
I don't know. Going into Vegas, who'd you pick Chase Elliott and I picked Kyle Larson at the Roval.
Yep.
Um, did we you won?
Yes. Chase
Okay,
finished like 8th or 9th or some shit.
okay.
Or
All right.
6th. I can't remember. It was top 10, but not top 5.
Appreciate Kyle going out there and wrecking his car in practice and ruining my pick. Um, so that was real cool.
He did solid, considering
Rough
all that.
day, rough weekend for the HendrickCars.com cars. Um,
How
yeah,
many of
Boris
them?
said they couldn't build a
Oh
car that
yeah.
held oil from 500 yards away from the track all the way to the track to make a lap, and Boris said missed the Xfinity race. That might have been one of the most disappointing moments of the season, and there's been a lot of them. So that was annoying. And then Kyle Larson ruined my pick. So
He wasn't gonna win anyway.
yeah, but he could have beat the 9 car
He
with a little
probably
more
wasn't
track
gonna beat the
position.
9 car.
Uh, yeah, he never had track position. He got close and just didn't have the track position.
I mean, it's kind of amazing because he was on the same strategy as the 9 at the end of stage 2, and they were all, I assume, gonna pit there. And so they all restarted at the end of that 30th to 34th or some shit. All the guys that
I think it was
uh,
quicker than you think he was.
I mean, he was definitely quick. I just don't think he was going to beat the 9. And when the 9 got in the lead, he was like 7 seconds out of the field. Like
Yeah, but
that's a bigger gap than AJ ever pulled.
yeah. I don't know. Who you picking for what
William
Vegas?
Byron.
Fuck, dude. Damn it. I was gonna pick William Byron.
Like if Byron's going to keep ruining my weekend, I might as well get a benefit out of it.
yeah.
Like,
I'm gonna go with Tyler Reddick.
okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Tyler Reddick. Um,
Here's the thing. I kind of think whoever wins this race is going to win the championship. Just based off last year.
uh, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I'll pick Reddick. Who's your sundress and dumbass for the Roval?
My sundress is AJ
Okay.
because he's a sundress.
Let's see. Trying to think of a good sundress. What nobody really impressed me this weekend. I'm not really impressed by much really in life. So I'm gonna go with Bubba Wallace. Bro drove a great weekend of racing. So I'm gonna give a shout out to Bubba.
Fair.
And also had a great attitude after the race. I don't want to praise a fish for swimming, but considering what we've heard out of Bubba, he's definitely I don't know if he went to media training or, you know, finally got his head on a little bit straighter. He's done a good job past couple weeks. Dumbass.
Daniel Suarez. Stop driving like a jackass.
Um,
in my opinion.
I'm gonna go with William Byron.
Or what?
He definitely was close enough to AJ there to where he could have just blown through the backstretch chicane, got enough of a lead, stopped and go in the front, and been able to beat AJ. I am so mad that DBC pointed this out because I have been saving. I was ready for whoever finished second. I was going to give Dumbass of the Week for that because I was sitting there. I was like, you could blow that backstretch and make cool. Well, because I showed you that meme of the dude like
Yeah.
hopping over the curb and just going straight across of 8-1.
I feel like so here's what I feel. I feel like that would fall into the same category as Ross's move at Indy last year, where NASCAR didn't technically have that against the rules, but they would
We
still
actually
penalize.
proved that they did have that against the rule because you had to do a stop and go, and Ross did not.
They did not have to do a stop and go
Yeah, they
last year.
did. Bob put out a video.
You did.
Yeah, you had to do a stop and go.
Okay, they didn't
The
portray
three
that very
did.
well.
The three did the first time he blew it and didn't the second time on the last lap because he watched the one do it. But either way,
I still think they would be like, yeah, never mind, 30-second time penalty.
I mean, you're locked into the fucking next round. Try it.
Sure. I just think if he does
William
it, he looks
Byron,
like
certified dumbass.
I think if you do that, you look like a complete jackass. Like just in general.
I
Like,
mean,
even if it works, like, dude, you just look like an asshole.
It'd be funny, dude. It'd be funny. I mean, dude, you're not in this business to look like a nice guy. You're in this to win races. I'm just saying, man.
What
William
was
Byron
his
misses.
sponsor this weekend? Z?
Yeah,
Like
Hewlett
what?
Packard.
That's a HP thing?
Yeah, it was the HP thing. You didn't see the HP
No, I just
logo
saw a
on there
big
too?
Z on the side.
Oh, well,
And
Zerg.
my dumbass brain was just like every time he drove by, I was like, Zed.
No, Zerg.
Zerg? No.
Yeah, yeah.
Old Buzz Lightyear himself.
God,
Spoiler
dude,
alert for last year's movie.
that was such a terrible. I can't believe I missed Kevin Harvick winning Michigan for that terrible ending of that movie.
I can't say I
Like,
didn't warn you. Well, that
yeah,
Kevin Harvick was going to win. I didn't see the movie, but I told you to leave. Wasn't
yeah,
like it
that
was a
was
date.
horrible. It was a horrible way to
What?
take that. I don't fucking know what I'm saying. Anyway, yeah, William Byron, certified dumbass.
Okay. See, I feel
Other
like if
than
he'd
that,
done that and then NASCAR said, nah, never mind, fuck you, 30-second time penalty, you'd be like, what a dumbass for thinking that would work.
yeah,
100%.
yeah, probably. Other than that, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about the old Roval.
I don't know. I'm just glad we get to go do this again next year.
Yeah, yeah, I am also. We didn't have Chuck on the show. Chuck is a bitch. He was big media Chuck, and I guess poor media truck worked too hard and is tired.
Media
So
truck.
media truck to Chuck to truck, whatever. Yeah. Hey, I mean, he had to wait an hour and a half before he could ask Eric Jones that question out of the infield care center.
Yeah.
Go look on Front Stretch's YouTube, and you can watch Chase Folsom try to interview Eric Jones. He starts to ask the question, and then the field starts to go by, and Eric Jones looks like he wants to kill everyone within arm's reach for the next 45 seconds while the entire field goes by after he just wrecked.
Yeah. So whoever was supposed to edit that at Front Stretch, boo.
You also
Boo. Dumbass of the week right
dumbass
there.
of the week award. But yeah, I don't know. We went to, hold on, I'll tell the story real quick. We went to the pit in Mooresville and raced go-karts. And I tell you what, that track is like a damn New Jersey highway or an Indiana highway. Like, it is
Bumpy as all
concrete
hell.
and is bumpy as all hell. I felt like I was driving a sack of potatoes down a gravel road. And yeah, yeah, I don't I don't know if that's dumbass of the week material, but that's a bad marketing strategy.
Okay.
Yeah. Just want to shout out to the pit. Shout out to the girl at the front desk, Lindsay. She was a cool people. Real funny. So
Okay.
yeah.
So that's
Oh, hold on. Also got to give a dumbass of the week award to the Taco Bell in Cornelius because
okay.
I sat in
Oh
the
yeah.
damn drive-through for like 15 minutes. And then we get to the intercom and the dude's like, "We're actually not taking any more orders." And I'm like, that's fine that you're not, but like you could have told me 15 minutes ago. Like what pissed me off more is there was a guy out there like doing
Yeah.
something and he couldn't have told me. And so I literally backed the entire line up out of there. So yeah. Um sorry, my mind just got flooded with all these dumbasses of the week. Brett Griffin, still a dumbass. I asked him if he was gonna spot Chicago this weekend. He said no. I don't know why not. Um I think it's everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now this has been the Big Motor Small Blade podcast. He's been Buddy Pulley.
Buddy. Yep.
The Ass Man Certified Reverend or whatever.
Buddy, the Reverend Buddy Pulley certified ass man.
That's basically what I said. I mean, to be fair, you
the
think
Smol Dolbowski.
I'm Seth Dolby, but Buddy, to be fair, you thought that Iowa was a road course where we ran the super speedway package, so I don't really care.
Yeah, dude, I thought it was Daytona 20 circa 2020.
Yeah.
Road course, super speedway, short track.
Okay. We love you guys. No, we don't. Actually, we don't like you. Listen or don't.
Listen or don't. We like you guys. We don't love you guys. That'd be
exactly.
Weird. Yeah, go fuck yourselves.
Yep.